Doctors warn: 6 deadly symptoms you should never ignore. After 60? Have you ever had that weird feeling, like something's just off in your body, but you can't quite put your finger on it? You think, maybe it's just getting older, and you brush it off. But deep down, you wonder, is this normal? Or is my body trying to tell me something important? Well, I've spent over 50 years walking alongside seniors, coaching, listening, learning. And if there's one thing I've seen time and time again, it's this. The body always gives us clues. Sometimes it whispers before it screams. So today, I'm sharing 6 deadly symptoms you should never ignore after 60. These aren't meant to scare you. They're meant to protect you. Because the sooner you notice, the sooner you can act. And the better your chance of staying strong, healthy, and here for the people you love. All right, let's jump in, starting with the first one. Symptom 1, persistent shortness of breath. Now, I know what you might be thinking. Well, sure, I get winded a little easier these days. That's just part of getting older, right? Not always. Let me tell you a story. A gentleman I coached, name was Harold, 72 years old, loved to garden. One day he told me, "Will, I had to stop halfway through pulling weeds because I felt like I was breathing through a straw. No chest pain, no big event, just suddenly couldn't catch his breath." Turns out Harold had a pulmonary embolism, a blood clot in his lungs. We caught it just in time. See, when you feel short of breath while resting or doing something light like folding laundry or walking across the room, that's not just being out of shape. That's your body throwing up a red flag. Could be a clot like Harold had. Could be congestive heart failure, where your heart isn't pumping properly and fluid builds up in your lungs. You might feel tightness, like someone's sitting on your chest, or wake up at night gasping for air. And here's something many folks don't know. Shortness of breath can be a sign of a silent heart attack. Yup, no dramatic pain, no fall to the floor moment. Just this creeping sense that you can't get enough air, paired with fatigue, maybe a cold sweat, maybe a bit of nausea. If that's ever happened to you, if you found yourself needing to sit down just to catch your breath, don't chalk it up to age. Don't wait to see if it goes away. That delay, it can cost you. So, here's my advice. If your breathing suddenly changes, especially if it's paired with dizziness, weakness, or pressure in your chest, get help. Better to be told it's nothing than to wait until it's something. Because when your breath is stolen, your life could be next. Now, speaking of energy, let's talk about another warning sign that creeps in quietly. One that too many people mistake for just slowing down. Symptom 2, unexplained, extreme tiredness. One that too many people mistake for just slowing down. I'm talking about that deep, heavy, unshakable tiredness that doesn't go away no matter how much sleep you get. Now listen, we all feel a little worn out sometimes. That's normal. But this kind of tiredness, it's different. It's not just, I didn't sleep well, tired. It's, I can't even finish making breakfast, tired. It's dragging yourself through the day, feeling like your limbs are made of lead. One of my clients, Doris, 68, sharp as a tack, always on the go. She started canceling her morning walks. She said, "Coach, I wake up exhausted. I feel like I've already run a marathon before I even put my slippers on." At first, she blamed the weather, stress, maybe just age. But after a checkup, we found out she had heart failure that had been slowly progressing without her knowing. See? Extreme fatigue, especially when it comes on suddenly or gets worse over time, is often a sign that your body is struggling to keep up. Your heart might not be pumping efficiently. Your kidneys may be under pressure. In some cases, it could even point to certain cancers, like leukemia or advanced disease, that's silently wearing you down. And here's the key. This kind of tiredness doesn't improve with coffee or naps or a good night's sleep. It just lingers, and it slowly chips away at your quality of life. So if you're finding it hard to do the things you used to enjoy, cooking, walking, even chatting with friends, don't write it off as just getting older. Instead, write it down. Track it. When did it start? What makes it worse? And then, talk to your doctor. The sooner you ask questions, the sooner you can get answers. Because you deserve to wake up feeling like yourself again. Now let's say you haven't been feeling tired, but folks keep saying you've lost weight, and you're not even trying to. That might sound like a compliment, but in our world, it can be a sign that something's not quite right under the surface. Let's talk about that next. Symptom 3, drastic, unexplained weight loss. You're not even trying to lose weight, but somehow your pants are loose. Your shirt feels baggy. And that belt? You've had to tighten it a notch or two. At first, it might feel like a small victory. I mean, who doesn't like hearing, "Hey, you look great"? But when those pounds are dropping off without any changes to your diet or exercise, especially after 60, that's when we've got to take a closer look. I'll never forget Mary, a lovely 74-year-old who used to bake the best apple pies in her neighborhood. She told me she dropped nearly 15 pounds in 2 months, and she wasn't even dieting. She thought it was just stress, or maybe she wasn't eating as much. But when we finally convinced her to get checked out, the diagnosis came back: pancreatic cancer. No pain, no obvious signs, just the weight loss. That's the thing. Sudden, unexplained weight loss can be one of the earliest clues that something serious is happening inside. Cancer is one possibility, especially cancers of the pancreas, stomach, lungs, or intestines. But it's not the only one. It could be thyroid issues, digestive disorders, or even poor nutrient absorption, where your body's not breaking down food the way it used to. Sometimes it's diabetes sneaking in. Other times, it's a chronic infection, draining your energy in the background. Here's what I always say. If you've lost more than 5% of your body weight in just a few months, and you weren't trying to, don't ignore it. Especially if you're also feeling weak, dizzy, or just off. Write it down. Take a look at your eating habits. Then, get that checkup. Because early detection can mean a world of difference. And sometimes, it's the only difference. Now, while losing weight might be a physical clue, the next symptom we're about to explore, well, it hits a little closer to the mind. Imagine forgetting things that just happened, getting disoriented in familiar places, or noticing that someone close to you suddenly just doesn't seem like themselves anymore. Let's talk about that next. Symptom 4. Sudden confusion or personality changes. It starts small. You walk into a room and forget why. You can't find the word for something simple, like refrigerator. Or maybe someone close to you, a spouse, a friend, starts repeating things, acting distant, or getting easily irritated when they never used to. Now look, we all have our senior moments. That's normal. But when those moments start happening more often, or when someone seems off in a way that's sudden or unexplainable, it's time to pay attention. I remember working with a gentleman named Carl, 76 years old, a retired math teacher, sharp as a tack. One Sunday morning, he couldn't remember how to turn on the coffee maker, the same one he'd used every day for 10 years. His wife thought maybe he was tired, but a few hours later, he couldn't recall their grandkids' names. That day, Carl ended up in the ER. He'd had a mini stroke, also called a TIA. Sudden confusion, slurred speech, acting not like yourself. These can all be signs of a stroke, brain infection, or even early signs of dementia. And in older adults, infections like UTIs can trigger a mental fog so strong it gets mistaken for Alzheimer's. That's right, a simple infection can literally hijack your brain if left untreated. And then there's delirium, a condition where confusion comes on fast, often in response to a new medication, dehydration, or an underlying illness. I've seen folks bounce between fine and foggy in the span of a day. And trust me, it's scary, but treatable, if caught early. So here's what to look for: sudden forgetfulness, trouble focusing, mood swings, or just a general feeling that something's not quite right. And don't dismiss it as just old age. If it comes on quickly or gets worse fast, you need to speak up. Because when the brain starts sending signals like that, it's not being forgetful. It's being brave enough to ask for help. All right, now let's shift gears a bit. We've talked about signs in your breath, your energy, your body, and your mind. But what if the warning shows up right in the center of your chest? Let's talk about that next. Symptom 5. Sudden severe chest pain, right in the center of your chest. That pressure, that squeeze, that sudden weight, like someone dropped a brick right on you. Now let me be clear, this is not the time to be tough, or to wait it out, or to tell yourself, it's just gas. Nope, this is the moment to act fast. A man I coached, Robert, 69, was the kind of guy who never wanted to bother anyone. One afternoon, he felt a burning in his chest, a tightness that spread into his left arm. He thought maybe it was the chili he'd eaten for lunch. So he laid down on the couch. That delay? It nearly cost him his life. He was having a heart attack. Here's the thing, chest pain isn't always dramatic like in the movies. Sometimes it's mild pressure, a heaviness, a strange discomfort that creeps into your jaw, neck, back, or shoulder. Other times, it comes on like a punch, sharp, sudden, intense. And there's another danger people don't know enough about, a tearing pain in your chest or back that feels like something's ripping inside. That could be an aortic dissection, where the body's main artery is literally tearing apart. It's rare, but when it hits, every second matters. So if you ever feel that kind of chest pain, crushing, burning, tearing, or radiating pain, especially if it's paired with cold sweats, nausea, lightheadedness, or shortness of breath, don't lie down. Don't wait. Don't drive yourself. Call 911 right then and there. Because when it comes to your heart, minutes save lives. And even if it turns out to be heartburn, well, that's a good day. A close call that you walked away from. You've got people who love you. You've got life left to live. Let's not gamble with that. Now, while chest pain is a warning you feel, the next symptom, it hides deeper. Sometimes it looks like a bad stomach ache. But other times, it's a sign that something inside your belly is reaching a breaking point. Let's talk about it. Symptom 6. Severe and persistent abdominal pain. Let's talk about the gut, your belly. That part of the body we often ignore until it starts screaming for attention. Now, we've all had stomach aches. Maybe from something we ate, a little indigestion, a bit too much ice cream after dinner. It happens. But I'm not talking about that kind of ache. I'm talking about pain that feels deep, sharp, or unrelenting. The kind that lingers for hours, or comes on fast, like a lightning bolt to the gut. I had a dear client, Marlene, 73, sweet as pie, loved crossword puzzles. One evening, she called me in a panic, said she had this stabbing pain in her lower abdomen. She thought it might just be gas, but something in her voice told me this was different. She ended up in the ER, and thank goodness she did. She had an abdominal aortic aneurysm that was on the verge of rupturing. That's one of the most dangerous causes of severe belly pain, when the body's main artery swells and bursts. If it does, internal bleeding can become fatal within minutes. Other culprits could be intestinal blockages, where blood flow to the intestines is cut off, often from clots or twisted bowels. Could be pancreatitis, where the pancreas becomes inflamed, sending pain radiating through your back. Or it might be a gallbladder attack, especially after eating fatty foods. Sharp pain under the ribs, nausea, maybe even fever. The key here? Don't ignore it. If your stomach is swollen, tender to the touch, or you're feeling sick and weak alongside the pain, don't wait it out. Get help, fast. It's always better to rule out the serious stuff than to wait until your body forces you to act. Now, if you've made it this far, I just want to pause for a moment and say thank you. Thank you for caring about your health. Thank you for listening to your body. And thank you for being someone who chooses knowledge over fear. Because knowledge, that's power. Let's take one last moment to reflect and go over everything we've learned so you can walk away, not only informed, but empowered. Let's wrap this up together. So, my friend, we've covered a lot today. 6 serious symptoms that can sneak up on us after 60. And I want you to remember, these signs aren't meant to cause fear. They're your body's way of speaking up, asking for attention, and giving you a chance to take control. Whether it's your breath, your energy, your mind, or your gut, every signal matters. And you matter. If something feels off, don't brush it aside. Reach out, get checked, trust yourself, and trust that it's always better to be safe than sorry. If this message resonated with you, share it with someone you care about. We're all in this together, walking this chapter of life hand in hand. And hey, I'll be right here next time with more ways to help you live stronger, stay sharp, and feel your absolute best. You're not alone in this, and you never will be. Take care and keep going. You've got this.